This is the Rippl TV Android box. Now included with this box here are the instructions, an HDMI cable, a power supply, a remote control, the batteries are not included, and a multi-in-one card reader, a card accessory. You know, the instructions themselves with this are for the most part useless. They're very basic information, very little setup information, and you have better luck if you're familiar with the Android operating system to set this up and navigate through than using these instructions. So better instructions really would have made this easier to set up, because even with me, I have some familiarity with the Android operating system. I even was kind of having some issues at times trying to figure out how to navigate through and set things up. The HDMI cable is also, I think, too short for this. It's barely over 3 feet. For me, I have most of my TVs mounted on a wall mount, and a 3-foot long cable just isn't going to do it. So why they didn't provide like at least a 6-foot cable that would have been a little bit more sufficient than this, I'm not really sure. Also, the power cord is a bit better. It's a bit longer, but it's also, I think, a little short at just over 4 feet in length as well. The remote control is okay, but barely basic, and has symbols on it with very little explanation of what those symbols are for on the remote. I mean, I think some better descriptors on these would have been a little bit better. It appears to be responsive for the most part, except for trying to use it to type on the box keyboard, which is difficult at best, and I'll get into that in a minute. The one cool thing that they do provide, though, is a multi, and I just dropped it, a multi-in card reader, which allows you to plug different memory cards and things like that to it. I think that's kind of a cool accessory to have with this. And I want to show you the box itself. As you can see, this particular box has 2 USB ports, an HDMI port, a network cable, the optical cable, and an AV port, and then the power port here. Basically what this TV box does is basically makes your TV into a Android tablet, essentially, so with some similar features. Now with this, you plug this in using the HDMI cable or your own HDMI cable into the HDMI port of your TV, and although setup isn't really clear with the instructions, the biggest really pain for me was trying to use this remote to type in the name and email address for setting up Google Play, which is included on this box. And you see some familiarity with that, with those features as well, because it's essentially using an Android 4.4 operating system. Now, I haven't tried setting up a keyboard, wireless keyboard, or Bluetooth keyboard to see if it works. I've heard that it does for this, which would make that easier option to use for typing things in this box, and something I would recommend trying to use as opposed to using the remote. I found typing with this remote worse than using my PS3 keyboard, which is faster and more accurate. The other thing is I had to make some adjustments initially on my TV screen, as the interface was a bit larger than the screen itself, and I think this box should be a little bit better on its own at making that adjustment. The box itself is cool. It's a stylish little black plastic box. Appears to be good quality. And there's no power switch that I could find on this, and it appears to be the power is controlled by the remote control itself, so you can power on, power off, but no actual switch or reset that I could find on the box. I kind of wish it had those to make it a little easier at times, but like for example if you have a problem with the remote. But when the initial loading is complete, you get 2 options, Media Launcher and Rippl TV. I had no idea what either of those did when I initially tried this. so I tried one and then the other. One has large icons with various selections that look more like like little, I guess you could say, like computer icons, that menu icons that would allow you to make different selections. And the other one looked more like an Android setup page. So, I had to play with the remote buttons to really figure out how to navigate back and forth between the two. Now, I initially set this up with my wireless connection, had no issue connecting to my AC router, and to my surprise, this actually found both the 2.4G and 5G networks that my AC router puts out. And it's fairly speedy, and this kind of leads me to believe, it doesn't really say, though, it's not clear that it has an AC connection. So I'm not really sure on that, but it kind of seems to me if it's finding both those networks, it has that ability, which is really great for this type of box. Now, it of course is faster through the Ethernet cable, which is also not included. I explored the settings and found a firmware update button, because I'm always one that updates the firmware for something like this as quickly as I get it. But I tried that and got an error. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or if that means there's no firmware update. I Googled around the net and found that all I could find about Rippl TV updates is that it supposedly automatically updates the firmware when needed when the box is turned on. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't really say. The Android box has some apps already preloaded on it, but does have a good amount of space, and you can, best of all, you can actually add a memory card for more space, which is kind of cool, using that little multi-in-one. And also you can use the 2 available USB slots that are available on the box. So, but it does appear you can use a variety of peripherals when you need to. As I said, Play Store is already installed on the box, and aside from the slow typing, getting it setting up, connection with the Play Store was no issues. This ran apps, played games, streamed video with no issues, and I was actually very surprised at its performance. For this little box, this has some pretty good specs and features with this quad core and space that it has available. It does need some better instructions, and a typing interface isn't great with the included remote, but it is a cool little device for making your TV and Android box. This also includes a 1-year warranty, and I'll show a little demonstration of how this works. So I apologize for the shaky camera here. I'm trying to do this with a webcam, so while I hold this and show. But as you can see, there's the 2 options for the media launcher, and there you can see it kind of gives you that basic menu, kind of like what an Android operating system would be. And in this case, this is kind of the Rippl TV that allows you to different options as well. And again, as I said, I'm kind of still figuring this thing out, but because it isn't quite as easy to navigate without some instructions really than it should be. But and there you can see the kind of the icon menu that I call it. There's Netflix, for example. There you can see that. So bringing that up. And here, of course, is the Play Store that you can use to play or download apps or games or whatever, that kind of thing. Now I'm happy to say I'm trying like an air mouse here, and it actually, I plugged it in and it is working. So something like that is much easier to use. And as you can see, there's streaming video from YouTube from the app that I downloaded. I give the Rippl TV 4 stars.